What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Amy Plays Steam Next Fest demos video, and I've been smart this time. I've recorded the intro after I've played all the demos, so I'm not fudging around with no idea what I'm actually about to do or what you're about to see. I played 12 games from Steam Next Fest, 12 different demos, and if you want to see a full list of what I played, it's in the description of the video, and it's even got timestamps. So if there's like a game that you really wanna check out, see me like blather on about, then you can just click on that little timestamp and it'll take you to it. Or you can watch this whole video and see a bunch of very different, very cool games. Like, of all 12 demos that I've played and I'm talking about in this video, there wasn't one like that I didn't enjoy. I enjoyed every single demo that I played. Like, I want to give two special shout outs to two demos that I absolutely blew my expectations away. The first one, somewhere in the middle, it's Slay the Princess. Like, I went into that game not really knowing too much about it, but I definitely heard of it, and I got drawn in by the art style. And my god, that demo just blew me away. Go and check that portion of the video out. And the second one is the second game I played, which is the Entropy Centre. For some reason, the demo set itself to ultra high and almost fucking melted my PC. But apart from that, once I got that sorted, and a little bit of stuttering on loading screen, on like those invisible loading areas, that game was really good. But every game that I played was really good. You can go and check it out. The video is going to start momentarily. I love playing demos. Like, this is one of the reasons I love going to EGX. Like, there's nothing better than just sitting down in front of a keyboard and mouse or picking up a controller and just being like, having very little idea of what you're about to experience for the next like 20-30 minutes. But I have to say that I experienced some cool stuff. I'm glad I did. If anything looks cool or sounds cool to you, go and wishlist those games, because that really helps the developers out. Anyway, I'm going to cut this intro off right now, and I'm going to let past Amy, because I recorded this after I've already done everything, tell you all about some cool games. So have fun with that. Okay, so first up, it was Thirsty Suitors. It was always going to be Thirsty Suitors. If anybody's like watching this video who watches the podcast on the regular, probably knows that I'm like super hyped for this game. I think if you go back and watch I think it was the E3 podcast, even though I know it's not, it wasn't E3 this year, but we all still called it E3. I was really excited for this game. So when I was scrolling through the Steam Next Fest demo list and I saw Thirsty Suitors was on the list, I was like, that's the first one. That's the one I downloaded first, and that's the one I played first. And the Thirsty Suitors demo is the perfect demo. And by that, I mean, when I got to the end and I was done and, you know, the game continues, but I have to wait for it to come out, I was fucking mad that it was over. Like, I just really wanted to keep playing. This was such a good time. Like, I loved everything about it. Like, Jala, the main character, she's awesome. She's got this awesome inner monologue with the narrator, who's also like her like in her head imagined version of her older sister. It's like, it's clear from the outset that she's made an absolute mess of her life, and now she's coming back home to hopefully fix it. In the demo, you do a thing, like a personality quiz test thing at the beginning of the game that's like determines like your personality, which determines one of like 3 categories that gives you some stat boosts. And then you head to a diner and you banter with your inner voice sister, and then one of your exes walks in and you have a conversation with your ex, which is just like about like breaking through like whatever shit is between the two characters to like hopefully like become friends or at least reconcile in some way. But in Thirsty Suitors, conversations take the form of turn-based battles, so not unlike like an RPG type thing. So you get this like awesome like battle sequence where you're doing your moves. You've got your basic attacks that build up your willpower, that power special attacks, so you can do things like debuff the enemy. It almost feels weird calling Sergio an enemy, but I guess technically it's true. And you debuff them, and then that opens them up for your attacks to do more your other like willpower fueled attacks to do more damage. And in between all of the attacks, like the attacks that you make, the attacks that Sergio make, you're just giving it to each other backwards and forwards. Like, the dialogue and the banter in this game is top notch. Like, I was literally cackling at some of the stuff that both characters were coming out with. Jello's a great character, Sergio is a great character. The narrator is also just a fantastic character. This game, from like the 25 minutes that I've played of it, fucking rocks. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm hoping it's coming out later this year. I really, really need more of this game. Everything about it. The combat, which also like is like it's like QTE based, so when you make an attack you have to push buttons or like do QTEs to like to block more damage or do more damage with anything but basic attacks. Basic attacks you don't need to do that, you just push a button and the attack happens. The music's absolutely slaps. Like there's some skateboarding stuff in the beginning of the game that I'm guessing is going to be like, it's going to come up more as you like travel around in the full game, which I'm guessing is going to open up a little bit more, maybe, I don't know. But that's really cool as well. Like as someone who doesn't really like know how to skateboard in video games, like I've played like skateboarding games before. Like I played roller drum earlier this year and I was terrible at it, but with this, like I could pretty much do it. It was good, it was decent. I like the idea of like personality, like you've got 3 different personality types in the demo, the Bohemian, the Heartbreaker, and the other one I don't remember the name of it. And like choices that you make through the game will increase those stats, but also when you level up you can also increase those stats manually. And you know, those personality traits I have to assume are going to influence maybe like the game going forward in terms of like narrative and character driven stuff, but they also do that to gameplay as well. Like depending on what you actually level up will depend on like stat increases. There's not that many stats. This isn't an overcomplicated RPG. The stats that you're influencing, at least when you level up manually, are basically just health, willpower, and attack power. So how much damage you can take, how much damage you can do, and how much of a bar you have for all of your special attacks. Mana, basically. But I absolutely fucking love this demo. I don't think it was a surprise that I did. Pretty sure, like, you know, like I've seen the trailers, I've been hyped for it for ages, but it's nice to just play some of the game and confirm, I guess, that this was going to be a game I'm going to absolutely fucking adore. Based on the first half an hour, this is going to be a game I'm not going to shut up about when it comes out, which is hopefully soon. It's coming soon, according to the Steam Store page, and it's coming to PC, PlayStation platforms, and Xbox platforms. It's also coming to Game Pass day one. Like I say, hopefully very soon, because I was, like I said at the beginning, I was mad when this demo ended because I just wanted to keep playing it. Hopefully we can find Jala some emotional maturity, character development, and reconciliation with the people that she's hurt in her life. Until then, I'm going to keep playing demos and wait semi-patiently for Thirsty Suitors to come out. Alright, so I just finished playing the Entropy Centre, which is a puzzle game that caught my attention at a future game show. Don't ask me which one, I don't remember. And I apologize if there's some stuttering between like levels as like the levels are loading. Like I had to turn the settings down immediately because for some reason they were all set to ultra and my PC was probably about to burst into flames. Like graphically, this is a beefy game. And my PC graphics card is pretty old. You can thank Crypto Bros for that one. And if you're looking at the gameplay that you can see on the screen, you might be thinking, hey, this looks a bit like Portal. And honestly, it's not a unfair comparison. It kind of is. Like, I feel like we should maybe not be comparing, like, all puzzle games that look like this to, like, one of the best games ever made. Like, that just feels like we're setting up all future games that kind of look like Portal for failure. But yeah, it does look a little bit like Portal, doesn't it? So when I saw the trailer for this game, it's hard to, like, in my opinion, it's difficult to really show off a puzzle game in a trailer, because you can look at it and go, oh, that's an interesting concept, which is what I did. I saw the Entropy Centre as a trailer and I thought that's an interesting concept, but until you get your hands on the game and actually like wrap your head around whatever the core concept of the mechanics of the puzzle game are, it's difficult to pass like looking at how you solve puzzles without actually solving the puzzles. So when I saw this game was part of Steam Next Fest, I was like, cool, I get a chance to actually like download this interesting puzzle game and then play it for myself and see how it feels. And so like I actually got to play like 40 minutes of the game. If you're smarter than me, which it's probably not a high bar, you can probably do it in less time than 40 minutes. Like, I definitely took my time on some of the puzzles trying to work them out, but once I finished the demo, I got to see a trailer, which might even be the same trailer that I saw originally, that shows like some of the later levels and some of the more advanced things that you can do in this puzzle game. So now is probably about the time that I should actually explain that, one, this was an amazing demo. I genuinely genuinely, like, I was so engrossed in solving puzzles and in this game, and it just felt so good to play. And two, I should probably actually explain how it works. So the Entropy Centre, you get a science gun very early on, and you're in a place called the Entropy Centre. I'm not going to say what it does because there's a reveal at the end of this demo as to what the Entropy Centre is for, and I think it's a really, really cool reveal that I'm not going to spoil here. But the basics of the gun that you have is you can use the gun to rewind time on certain objects. In the demo, it's mostly just like things that have fallen over, so like debris that's blocking a door, for example. You can point the science gun at it and go, and it'll rewind and let you through the doorway. And the way you generally use this to solve puzzles in the demo, so in like the first few levels of the game, is moving boxes around. And you do this by, you can pick them up and place them on. But the best thing to do is just to give you an example based on a puzzle. So you pick a box up, and then you put it down on the second switch, the switch that's going to let you out of the level. And then you pick the same box up and you put it on the first switch, and that's going to let you through the first door. And then once you walk through the first door, you look down, and then you rewind the box so that it rewinds the path that you picked it up, and it goes on the second switch that lets you through the other door and out of the level. And it might sound really complicated what I've just explained, because this is one of like what I just described as basically the first puzzle of the game, and obviously they become slightly more challenging as time goes on because that's how puzzle games work. It does take a minute to wrap your head around. Essentially solving puzzles backwards is what you're doing in the early levels of this game using your cool rewinding time gun. But like once you've wrapped your head around it, it's pretty intuitive, and it's pretty fluid. Again, it takes a second, and sometimes like I was staring at like the level of any particular puzzle, and just like I'd have to think for a minute and like draw a mental map in my head. And then obviously like as you go on, the game introduces a couple of new mechanics in the first few levels anyway, and there's a couple of really cool ways you can like think to solve puzzles. Like there's it introduces gates that mean you can't like carry boxes through those gates, and then there's jump pads that get introduced as well, that you jump on them and they send you flying into the air. And like the entire time that I was solving these puzzles, like it was so engrossing, I didn't notice 40 minutes go by. I feel like if this had been the full game, I could have kept going for hours. And then you get to the end, and you're going through this facility, and clearly something's happened because like I just described before, like the shit's falling down, like the stuff's collapsing. Like this isn't the facility running at peak performance or peak efficiency. Something has gone wrong. And then as you get through that, and then you get to the end of the demo, something happens, and you kind of figure out why you're going through these puzzle rooms, what's actually going on, and there's an incident. That's all I really want to say about that. And it made me just kind of go, oh, that's what this game's about. And then it plays a trailer where it shows like, well, things that are a lot more complex of a use of the time gun than moving boxes around. And it looks sick. Like I'm looking at that going, wow, I can't wait to like wrap my head around this kind of puzzle solving. And the game does such a good job in its demo of slowly building things up that you never feel like you're completely out of your depth at any point when something new is added. I'm so excited to play more of this game, and I'm really glad I played the demo because like I said at the beginning, like I can explain how the puzzle game works to you, and I can explain why it's good, but really you have to get your hands on it to really get it. That's my summary. This is a great game. So I'm going to get out of here, stop waffling about how cool this game is, and go play more cool games. I'm looking forward to that. I'll see you in a second. Goddamn, Fall the Porcupine. You got me. You can't leave your demo like that. What the hell? So I just finished playing the demo of Fall of Porcupine. It was a game that really stood out to me at Gamescom. It was, I think I saw it like the IGN thing, like they did a bunch of indie game trailers, and Fall of Porcupine stood out massively to me. And so I downloaded the demo. It was about an hour long. And it's really, really good. Like it definitely has some Night in the Woods comparisons, and it definitely earns them. This game does feel like it's trying to fit into that sort of similar style of Night in the Woods, which is no bad thing. Night in the Woods is a great game. I hope it inspires a lot of other games. So Fall of Porcupine, you play a doctor, Finley. All the characters are anthropomorphic animals, of course, and you've just moved to the town of Porcupine. Hibernation season is upon us. It's fall, and you've been working at this hospital for a few weeks, and you're just playing Finley, trying to get to grips with a new job, which is incredibly stressful. Being a doctor in a hospital that is understaffed and falling to pieces in a town that is, it seems nice, but there are definitely a couple of people who don't like the hospital. And you go through, you're treating patients and exploring the town, interacting with the characters, like some of your co-workers, some other people out in town. It's nice, but there's definitely an undercurrent. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything. I think you should definitely go and check out the demo. It's a prologue to the actual game, so it's not like you'll be playing like a part of the game that's coming out next year. But like, it's definitely a raw game. And what I mean by that is it doesn't sugarcoat anything. So you get, like, you look at the art style and you think this is a cozy game. And for a lot of it, it definitely is a cozy game. You have some really nice, wholesome, profound interactions with some characters, but it also doesn't sugarcoat the harder stuff. Like, for starters, you're a doctor. In the prologue demo, I will say that nothing like terrible happens for the most part. Like, the narrative is set up in such a way that that's definitely gonna happen, because again, you're a doctor in a hospital that is basically falling to pieces. But like, interacting with the characters is great. You get some awesome like dialogue that like can flick between being funny, being serious, you know, just being lighthearted, but also not when it needs to be. Like, it goes through several different tones, and it earns every single one of those tones. But like, aside from what I've told you about the premise of the story, there's definitely something else going on. Like I said right at the beginning, like, damn, how could you leave it like that? I'm not going to say how they left it, but like, I was already excited for Fall of Porcupine, and playing the game coupled with like where they've left the cliffhanger, I guess, of the prologue demo it's just shot up my list of like games that I really want to play. Like, it's a good demo. Like, it makes me want to play more of the game. Did I say it about both games that I've played so far, or just I've said it at least once, where it's like I was mad that the demo was over because it meant that I couldn't play anymore. Aside from the vibes and the premise, there's some cool, interesting stuff going on. There's like some platforming, but like in Night in the Woods, it's not really like challenging platforming in any way. It's just the nature of this game being a 2D game, and sometimes you have to jump around on things. There's also mini games. There's all sorts of different mini games at your doctor job. You do QTs to perform treatments on patients, and the QTs can be quite devious with like how you have to like move the fingers and the thumbs to do all of this stuff, which I really appreciated. I thought that was quite devious. I think I've already said the word devious, but it was quite deviously clever. There's also some mini games tied to things that you do outside of the hospital. For example, you know, one of the characters in the story gets into a bar fight, and you have to do the bar fight. There's like a drinking game as well. So I imagine it's going to be one of those games where there's a lot of different things happening. But from the demo, this is a really engaging game, and the demo did the one thing that all demos should do, which is it makes me want to play the rest of the game. But I am excited to run the potential emotional gauntlet that Fall of Porcupine offers from this demo, and hopefully into the full game in some time next year. I got a lot of Steam Next Fest demos that I want to try and get through, so I will leave it at that, and I'll see you in the next demo. Okay, so I just played the demo for Fly, which was about half an hour long, give or take. That was interesting. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I feel like you might take that as me going, not sure, but no, it was really fun. There's a lot more going on in the demo than you might immediately think. Like, so this is a management game where you manage like a futuristic, I don't know, like petrol station, like, but it does everything. It's weird. It's like basically it's like a shop of the future, which does like a bunch of different stuff, and you're the manager working remotely, guiding your one and only clerk in the store to do all of the stuff. So like, if customers need serving at the tills, you guide them to the tills. If something needs building, you guide them to the building. If something needs repairing, you guide them to repair it. You guide them to take breaks to manage their mood. And like, most of the demo is focused on this management stuff for reasons that I'll get into talking about in a minute. The management stuff, like the actual like building out the shop and making sure customers get served and stuff, is all too intensive. Like, it's just the right amount of management. Like, if a shelf needs refilled, you click it, the clerk goes and refills the shelf. If there's a queue of customers at the till point, you know, you click it, and then click will go over and serve the customers. And it's basically just about balancing act between keeping on top of things that need to be done while also like building stuff and expanding the shop that you're running. And for most of the demo, that's it. Like there's some interesting like critiques of a potential future like reliance on technology. Like you're running this shop, and then like what are the things that you can research and buy and build is a doctor booth, so people can come to your shop and they step into the booth, and the booth is like giving them a medical diagnosis, and that sounds a little bit dystopian. Kind of is. And it gets even more complex from there. Like I saw in the tech tree, there was like a surgical booth. So there's like a booth where someone can step into it, and if they need a complex surgery, you can just do the complex surgery. It's definitely doing some stuff, and like saying some things. But then there's like, so you get these premium customers that come in, and these are like characters who I think are probably going to be like, these are where the storylines and Flat Eye are going to come from. You know, you talk to one and you have this funny interaction where it's like you build this machine that automatically makes bread, and they're like, oh, I want this bread. I saw it in an old fantasy movie. Like they're talking about Lampus bread from Lord of the Rings, and you know, it's a fun interaction. And then there's another premium customer that walks in and gets a bit weird from there. I'm not going to spoil it because I'm not a spoiler person, but like I was enjoying the management side of the game, of the demo, like to the point where I was like, oh, I could see myself playing this for a good few hours, like, you know, expanding my my little shop, doing all the research and seeing where it goes. And then there's the last like few minutes of the demo, which were just, that's the part where I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Like you've got me hooked. On what's going to happen next. So it's this nice fusion of, it's a cool management style game. So I'm enjoying, like, it's cool to do the management stuff, to like build stuff out and just keep on top of everything. And then there's this cool storyline on top of it. And I'm into it. Like, I am into it. Like, there's a lot of cool hooks to where this game is actually going versus where you think it might be going when you first start playing it. The game is actually coming out pretty soon. I'm pretty sure it's actually coming out in October on PC, so I won't have long to wait to actually play it. But this demo sort of, Fly was a game I'd seen at a Games Fest. One of them, I don't remember which one. And I went, oh, that looks interesting. And then I've played the demo, and at the end of the demo, I've gone, oh no, I'm all the way in on this game. Like now, it's like pushed it from a maybe I'll check it out. I'm definitely gonna buy this and play it because I'm kind of hooked on it. I feel like I've said this for every demo that I've talked about so far at Steam Next Fest, but to be fair, they've all been bangers. But like, it's done a good job as a demo of hooking me on the game and making me want to play more when it comes out. So it's an excellent demo, really cool. Like, I just want to go back and run my little Icelandic smart shop. I'm going to go and play some more demos. I imagine they're going to be amazing because so far every demo has been fantastic and I'm loving it. Next Fest, man. What a concept. Okay, so I just finished the demo for a game called Season. That's not his full title, hold on. Season: A Letter to the Future. And this was a very specific demo where, like most of the demos that I've played so far, have tried to give like a broad sort of idea of the game that you're playing, either from a narrative perspective or a mechanics perspective. The Season demo that I played was very much, here's a glimpse of the world, so you see what the world looks like and the art looks like. Get back to that in a second. It's more a case of, here's a very specific mechanic. So in Season, you go on a bicycle trip before a cataclysm is going to destroy the world, and you just explore the world. It's an exploration game, I'd say, like in terms of like its overarching sort of premise. You explore a frankly gorgeous world on a bicycle with a camera and an audio recorder, and you take pictures, you record things, you talk to people and meet people and figure out the world around you. And in terms of this demo, you only really got to do two of those things, which was recording and taking photos in a very specific area of, I think the demo said it was going to be the third chapter of the game. So I didn't really meet anyone, I didn't talk to anyone, I didn't really explore much of the world beyond like this very small area. So I know that there's a lot more to the game. Just from looking at the trailer, like I can see like that you're going to go on this grand adventure, and this is very much like the first step of that adventure. So you're introduced in the demo to the core mechanic of, I guess, like recording the sounds and taking photos of the sites and how that builds into the journal that the protagonist carries around. There was some kind of party, I guess, that was being held for before you left. So, like, one of the last things the protagonist is doing is taking photos and documenting their hometown before they leave it. Take photos and make sound recordings and interact and pick things up with, like, all sorts of the different sights and sounds and stuff in your hometown. It's sort of like and make sort of like a scrapbook out of it. Like, you gain insights into the town and into a very specific person from the town by taking photos of, like, the murals that are around to commemorate them. Then you arrange it in this book, and once you've arranged the keepsakes in this book, it's like it's like scrapbooking. And you unlock new insights into the world, and you unlock, like, new keepsakes, so you can decorate these pages however you want, which is kind of cool. It's kind of neat. Like, it only really works if you kind of know that you're going to go on this huge grand adventure, and there's going to be, like, lots of characters and a mystery to unravel, and just beautiful sights and sounds everywhere. Like, when I think about it in tandem to that, the demo works to make me interested in what I'm going to be seeing. If you play this demo and you don't know anything about the game, like, you just happen to see a gorgeous looking game and then you download the demo, you're going to be like, what am I doing here? So it is an interesting and cool introduction to the core mechanic that's going to be behind Season, but I don't necessarily know if this demo was an amazing introduction to the game that you're going to be playing when Season comes out next year. But for me, like, I do know what kind of game Season is going to be. I've been following the trailers and everything since it was announced, because, again, it looks like exactly like my kind of jam. So it was fun to just interact with a couple of the mechanics. Kind of also leaves me with not that much to talk about. I will say that the world is absolutely stunning in terms of how good it looks. That's going to do it for me talking about the Season demo. Hopefully, this gameplay footage looks better than previous gameplay footages. So I noticed a problem in some footage that I've recorded, sort of like over the last few weeks, like to a month, and I think I figured out the problem and fixed it, and everything seems to have worked. So, a bit of a tangent, but if you're noticing that this gameplay footage looks better in quality than previous gameplay footages, that means it did it, and it worked. But I'm going to move on to another demo, so I'll see you in a second. This game is fucking brilliant. Okay, so I just finished a demo for a game called Slay the Princess, which I definitely heard of before, and it's fantastic. If you like really, like, meta, really sarcastic, really, really humorous games, like Stanley Parable, you're probably going to really like Slay the Princess. So you're on a path in the woods. At the end of the path, there's a cabin. In the basement of the cabin is a princess, and you have to slay her, hence the name of the title of the game. And you've got a narrator who's narrating everything, and naturally, you can do the thing, you can slay the princess. That was the first thing I did. And then you could just play the game again, and you can start pushing at the boundaries of your very simple instruction. And the results are absolutely wonderful. Like, I played this demo for 40 minutes. I think I saw, like, 3 different endings to the demo. So, like, when you find an ending, quote unquote, in the demo, it says to be continued, and then there's clearly going to be more that happens later on, like in the full game. And I literally, like, I got to a point where I was like, I have to stop, because I want to save as much of this as possible for when the game comes out, which is sometime in 2023. Like, there's so much I want to say about this game, and there's so much I definitely shouldn't. Like, there's a huge branching narrative that unfolds depending on the choices that you make. There's so many different choices that you can make. Like I said, I spent 40 minutes playing the game and got, like, 3 endings. Was it 3? It might have been 4. Either way, like, there's definitely way more endings in the demo, and I'm sure there'll be even more endings in the game. There's fantastic vocal performances from both Jonathan Sims, who plays all of the voices in your head, including the narrator, and Nicole Goodnight, who plays the princess. I just wanted to click through everything and see every single thing that this demo has to offer. This is majestic. That's the word I'm going to use to describe what this game is. Like, I was vaguely aware of it before I played the demo, and now this is one of the games that I'm looking forward to the most. Seriously, if anything I've said about the concept of this game, with the cosmic horror, the princess, the time loops, the meta-narrative, trying to see how many different ways you can, like, not do the thing that you're supposed to do, it's in the title. If any of that actually speaks to you in any way, download the demo. Just download the demo. You probably won't be disappointed. This is fucking brilliant. and I love it so much. I cannot wait for to be able to play the full game of this. I'm gonna lose it for like a few days just being obsessed with like all of the different things that you can do in this game and trying to find literally everything that can happen. But until then, I'm gonna get out of here and play more demos. I'm having so much fun with this Next Fest. The demos that I'm playing are amazing. But I'll see you in a minute for the next game. Okay, so up next was Decarnation. Decarnation is a psychological horror game about a cabaret dancer in Paris in 1990 called Gloria. That's who you play as. And it's a very slow burning start. There's not a great amount of horror, at least not traditional like monsters and scary stuff horror. There is actually quite a bit of horror in the demo, which I'm guessing is like the opening of the game. It's the horror of life and the horror of being a woman in any time, but in the 1990s, I guess. Like, there's a lot of stuff about misogyny and ageism that comes through in the opening of the game, which again, I'm saying the opening of the game in the demo. It comes through in the demo. And on top of that, Gloria herself is having career problems. She's having relationship problems. You know, like her girlfriend's being quite distant. And she's just done this art project where she's posed nude for a sculptor who's made a bronze statue of her. And then she has a bad experience going to see that statue because some fucking creep is being a creep around a statue of a naked lady, because apparently men just can't control themselves, I guess. I say that like I'm surprised. I know it's true. And then on top of all of this sort of like mundane real life horror, which is really well done, by the way, you start layering in this sort of surrealistic dream-like horror, like very nightmarish stuff kind of starts happening, but it's a slow burn, and I really appreciated the slow burn because you really get a sense of who Gloria is, how her life is not where she wants it to be, and how things are kind of just not great for her in general, both on a personal level and again just because of the general misogyny and ageism that women face in life in general. And I say it's a slow burn. Like this demo was about 30 minutes long, so like it's a slow start up into sort of more horrific stuff, but it's not like slow as in, oh, it takes hours. Like it took about 20 minutes for the first sort of horror-ish dream sequence to take place, which was really cool actually. Like you wander around and like everything's sort of a manifestation of the troubles that Gloria has in her real life, like manifested into this surrealistic, almost Lovecraftian, David Lynch style nightmare sequence. Like you get attacked by monsters and you don't fight the monsters so much as you scream and they disappear. And like, yeah, I get that. Like life just makes you want to scream a lot of the time. So I totally get that. And it's this marriage of like psychological body horror with sort of the more mundane like problems and troubles that come with just being alive and being a woman who exists that makes this game really interesting to me. Like nothing exploded out of the screen and stood out at me as being like, oh my god, this is amazing. But Decarnation is a really, really good start, at least in this demo, and it makes me wanna see where the game is gonna go. Like how is it gonna tackle the issues that it brings up? On top of also, how's it gonna be a horror game that's gonna scare me? And it's a very slow burning, very psychological driven horror as opposed to like spooky stuff and jump scares. Like it takes its time. It sets itself up super well. The main character is pretty much instantly likable. Like you really feel for her as like all this stuff is happening, and she continues to try and like put a brave face up and put a smile on her face as if nothing's wrong, whereas a lot of things are going wrong in her life. I didn't really get the sense of too much of the gameplay. Like the Steam store page mentions that there's going to be a lot of puzzles to solve, you know, a lot of boss fights, a lot of, well, I don't know if necessarily boss fights or just boss survival sequences based on the game. There's gonna be like monsters to deal with, a lot of different mini games. And in the demo that I played, like you got like one mini game which was like you did one of the because Gloria's a cabaret dancer, you did one of the cabaret dancing sequences, which was just like a rhythm game, like a pretty standard rhythm game. So I didn't really get too much into the gameplay mechanics that are gonna be a part of the game. I didn't really need to be like sold on this being something that I would like to play through and see where it goes, because the way that the story and the character is set up really makes me want to experience that. You know, I'm sure the gameplay will follow, and it will be cool survival psychological horror stuff. So that was Decarnation. I'm gonna keep playing some more demos. I really enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to seeing what Steam Next Fest has in store for me next. So I'll see you in a sec. Cassette Beasts. I feel like this is gonna draw a lot of comparisons to Pokemon, and I kind of get it. Like the the game does take definite inspiration from Pokemon. Like, you play a character in an open world, and there are strange and fantastical monsters, and you fight them, and you can also catch them. But you don't catch them in balls, you catch them on cassette tapes. Like, you record them. And then instead of like throwing them out to fight you you transform into them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Cassette Beasts is an open world RPG where you play as a protagonist that you get to name and create and customize, who falls into the world of New Wirral, which is a place where people from all sorts of different worlds, like different timelines, different realities from Earth, I guess, just like can all fall into this world, and then they get stuck there and there's no way out. So they've built a town called Harbour Town. One of the things that they have to do is they have to protect that town or explore the world and fight monsters. And during the course of the opening of the game, which is also the demo, you end up pairing yourself up with a woman called Kaylee, who you go out and fight monsters together, and there's a mystery. I've not really played a Pokemon game, but I have watched Moody play a lot of them on Twitch, on our Twitch channel, and like a couple of things always like seem like they would be really frustrating for me personally about Pokemon games. Number one, they don't really have a strong narrative drive beyond getting better at the game. Like, the game itself is a self-fulfilling, like, closed narrative where it's like you're not really doing anything in the game, you're just going out catching Pokemon and then like doing the gym stuff and like beating the gym trainers to get badges. Maybe there are stories like later on in the games, but like from what I've seen and what I've played, of Pokemon Sword, that's not really the case. In Cassette Beasts, there's a strong narrative drive. Within half an hour, you've met Kaylee, you've met Harbour Town, you've explored a little bit, and you've found this weird monster called an Archangel who has given you a vision and a potential, like, sets you on a potential path of a way to get off of New Wirral and send everybody back home. So instantly, you're hit with that strong narrative drive. The combat gameplay is very much a turn-based JRPG. You've got your buffs, you've got your debuffs, you've got your attacks, you've got to build up your AP to unleash stronger attacks. You gotta make sure you don't get killed in the process. And of course, you can transform into all these different cassette beasts that you capture. I only got to capture a few and play with a few, but they're all quite distinct from one another. You've got your defense focused ones, you've got your tanky focused ones like Kaylee. She turns into a beast that can sort of act as a tank more than necessarily as a damage dealer. And then obviously you got your damage dealers. I'd be looking forward to collecting more beasts in the game and really seeing what the game has to offer in that regard. One of the things you can do with your partner character, because you will always have one partner character with you, is once you build up a fusion meter enough, you can actually fuse the two monsters that you are currently in the form of together and create one super monster, which combines the AP and the health and the stats and all the moves of the two monsters that you taking the form of, which can create some interesting combinations further down the line, I'd imagine. And not all of the monsters are like weird, like monsters like a crowd that it's also a traffic cone, or a weird looking moth fella. Like, some of them are actual like humanoid monsters at the end of the demo that you come out of the wonderfully named and just amazing vibes of Gramophone Cafe, which is playing some incredible music. By the way, you should check out the music for this game. It's really good. And then there's a character called Eugene, who I assume is going to be a party member somewhere down the line in the game, who's yelling at vampires to get out of town. So there's clearly some like more depth to the monsters, and maybe we're going to get to see some like classic like monsters from like literature and art, as well as a crab with a traffic cone on its head who can build a defensive wall out of Lego. But I'm actually really liking this. The last thing I will say as well is, for anybody who might be on the fence about this, is this game is going to have co-op. So the other character, the second character in your party, can also be just another person. So like, this could be like the Pokemon style game that me and Moody can literally play together, instead of him streaming out on Twitch and me just watching for 10 hours. And that's kind of exciting. I kind of like that, but I really like the vibes of this game. It was an enjoyable experience. I like the 80s aesthetic that's going on. I like the music. I like the combat system. I like the world building. And I'd be quite excited to play more of this. It releases in 2023, so we got some time to kill before then. Luckily, there's plenty more games. Some of those games have demos, and some of those demos I'm going to play for you in the course of this video. That's going to do it for Cassette Beasts. I'll see you in a minute for the next one. So Reefland, there's not really a whole lot I can say about Reefland, if I'm being honest. It's very much in the vein of a game like Islanders or Dolph Romantic. It is a very chilled out sort of builder game. It's like this new wave of city builder, which is really relaxing. The premise behind Reefland is that you are building, and you do that by getting tiles that are randomly given to you in like small packs. So every time you reach a score threshold, you get a new pack of stuff, and you reach a score threshold by like good placement of the buildings that you're given. For example, you put a pasture on some sheep and that'll give you plus 20 points. If you put a wheat field down, it'll give you 0 points. But if you then put another wheat field down next to that wheat field, or a mill or a house, like, it'll chain together and you'll get extra points for it. And you can build really big multipliers based on that kind of thing. But the twist in Reefland is everything is black and white, and by placing the buildings wherever you're placing them, you're actually painting in a part of the world. So when you place something down on a tile, it paints the color of that tile, and then eventually once you reach the score threshold of a level, you know, it paints in the color of the whole island. So you get to see all of the color just suddenly, like, very slowly at first, like, filling in, and then suddenly just explode, and you get this cool, like, explosion of color. And then you can continue, you know, placing tiles until you run out of tiles, or you can just click onto a new island and the game will take you to another randomly generated island. At least they felt randomly generated. I'm not sure if they were or not. That's one of the things about it being such a cozy game. I wasn't paying too much attention to the very small details, and I did play through a couple of times. It's just a very calming game. Like, there's not a lot I can really say about it. If you've played or heard of Dwarf Romantic or Islanders, and you know what that kind of game is, and you think that's a good game, then Reefland is another one for you. But it's a very calm and very chill game. It's fun to play. You know, like, I played it for about half an hour, and like half an hour just kind of melted away on a sea of tranquility that was being caused by this game's cozy aesthetic, calming gameplay, and soothing soundtrack. So I got some more demos to play. That was Reefland. See you all in the next one. So you ever just sat down and played a demo or a game, and like something's happened and you've just gone, oh, that's really cool. Like, so that just happened to me when I was playing Wavetale, it's a demo that I just played, and while, like, it made me do the thing, like, pretty quickly on, just going, oh, that's really cool, I also have some feedback. Which sounds ominous, but Wavetale, it's an action adventure game. You live on a mysterious sea where there's monsters and stuff, and something bad happens. Like, shadow stuff comes in, and you have to kind of navigate around. And in the demo, you save your grandma, and then you have to do some stuff to turn on a machine, and then the demo ends. But the cool thing that happened, like, quite quickly in the demo is, like, there's a shadow, like, in the water. Like, you see it in the first cutscene. It's there, and it's really cool. It's like your shadow in the water. And it lets you, like, run on the water, surf on the water. You can, like, dive into the water and, like, swim through the water with your shadow and do these cool jumps and stuff. But, like, when I saw, like, you know, it's like there was a few different, like, miniature, like, levels in amongst, like, this big, like, body of water, and I was looking at the water. I was looking at it going, oh, how am I going to get around this? Like, oh man, I don't want to do a boat. And then I saw that, and you stand on it's this really cool, really cute cutscene where you, like, stand on the shadow puts its foot out of the water, and you stand on it, and then, like, you realize, like, you can walk, and the shadow will put its feet up to meet your feet in the water, and it was really cute. I'm looking forward, like, one of the things I'm really looking forward to in Wavetale is a developing, like, I guess, relationship between the main character and the character's shadow in the water, because I feel like that'll be a thing. As for the rest of the game, so it's pretty cool. It's a pretty neat action adventure game. You know, you go around, you fight some monsters. The combat's fine. It doesn't really, like, you just push square or I guess X on an Xbox controller a couple of times and things pop. There's a dodge button. Nothing really, like, too in depth in the demo that I played. And, like, you go around and you do stuff. So you save your grandma, and then you go to these different little islands and you collect spark. And then you use that spark to hit a lever, and then everything gets bright and the demo ends. Showing the player what to do. In this game, they could do a better job. I don't like to be negative, especially not when I'm playing, like, demos and stuff, because, you know, they are works in progress. But, like, you get back to the island at the very beginning, and it's like, save grandma and fight the monsters. And, like, the game's just throwing me into this, like, combat, and I remember saying out loud while I was playing, like, you haven't taught me how to fight yet. You haven't taught me how to fight yet. And it turns out fighting's not that complicated. It's what button you push square to hit, and you push circle to dodge. But, like action adventure games don't have a standard control scheme, right? It's not like pull the right trigger to shoot in a first-person shooter, which I feel like most first-person shooters still tell you how to do at least the first time. Like, at no point did the game point out the fact that very small at the top of the screen, there's a compass and a thing, like a marker that shows you where your quest objective is. So I spent the first, like, 10 minutes of this demo surfing around, trying to figure out where I was supposed to go. And, like, at one point, like, I struggled to platform, like, up a clock tower, and then like later on, I found a thing that just said, "Hey, you can double jump." It was just like this journal that you collect in the level that was quite easy to miss, and I was just like, "Thanks for telling me just in the nick of time." Like, it doesn't make the game bad in any way, and I still had a good time with it. It would have been nice if the game had have like presented its information to me, like especially its tutorializing information to me, like in an order that like wouldn't cause me to like suffer or get frustrated, like, or like get lost. Like just a thing that says, by the way, there's a compass at the top of the screen that's showing you where to go. By the way, you can double jump. Because it does this in other sections of the game. Like, I figured out how to glide by accident. And then, like, you do a puzzle and a platform comes along and, like, the game pauses to say, by the way, you can hold this button to glide. And it's like, so sometimes it does the tutorializing in your face and then sometimes it doesn't. And, like, it really needs to like, do that. Like, if it's going to throw a mechanic at you that you need to use, I guess the game needs to tell you that that's a thing. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I've played like a bunch of demos for all sorts of different games that I'm just like in that space where like all the games are like, oh, what am I doing? The game I just played before this was a chill, relaxing city builder, right? Like nothing like this game. But I've harped on enough about that. Wavetale, it's a cool game. It's a cute game. I like a cute game. I'm interested to keep playing this cool adventure game. Like I said, one of the first emotions, if that's the word, that it evoked from me was, oh, that's really cool. Like, like that was something I said within a minute of starting the demo. And I'd be interested to go on this adventure whenever it comes out. It says it's coming soon. So hopefully that means 2022. That'd be cool. So that's going to do it for my impressions of the Wavetale demo. I've still got some demos to play. So this video will continue on for a little bit longer. I've set myself a deadline because I could literally do this all week and then have like 100 demos to talk about, but I've set myself a time deadline. I'm going to get out of here, stop wasting my time, and I'll see you all in a minute for the next demo. Okay, so second to last demo of this video for me at Steam Next Fest, and this one was Gunbrella. A lot of the time I choose a game like to play based on cool art style or an interesting premise. I chose Gunbrella because of the name Gunbrella. I'm not ashamed of that fact. Luckily for Gunbrella, it also has a cool art style and a cool premise. So, in Gunbrella, you play a cowboy guy. It's very, very cloaked in mystery. He's on some kind of tale of revenge. Anyway, he gets to this place, he needs to go to another place, and you go off on a violence-filled adventure. Seriously, you shoot the bad guys and they blow up. In a big splash of blood. It's very cartoony, but also very violent. Your gun, which fires like all sorts of different rounds, is also an umbrella. Not kidding. You can use it to like dash and jump, and you can use it to like zip line, also to swim and glide. It's a very useful gun. It's a very strange gun. Like, I wonder how like Doinksoft, the developer of the game, I wonder how they actually came up with the idea of a gun that's also an umbrella. Do you think someone just said the word gunbrella? Like gun and umbrella like was somehow in a conversation and like someone came up with the pun and then they were like, yeah, that's great, let's make a game around that. And it turns out it's a really good idea to make a game around. Combat is difficult, but that's mostly because I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that my gun is also an umbrella. So like you shoot bad guys, but also like your gunbrella is a shield, so you use it to block attacks. And like wrapping my head around the concept of doing that took me a minute. Like, some games, sometimes they take a few minutes for you to actually get into the rhythm of them. And that's what happened with the combat. It's not hard, it's just very particular. Yeah, that's probably the right word to use. It's a lot like, like it's your 2D platformy action game. So like every screen almost feels like a puzzle. It's like, how do I get through this particular combat arena while doing maximum damage while taking minimum damage myself? And in that regard, it's very fun. And, you can blast your way through and do some really cool stuff by combining like the movement abilities of the umbrella with, the fact that you have a shotgun that makes people into paste. And the world itself is quite interesting. Like you go through and like you get to these towns, like they're very small, like sort of almost like just a few shacks and a couple of like pop-up stands. And you get some side quests to go and do some stuff that's usually just tied into like the main thing that you're trying to do. Like in the demo, you get to a town, you need to get to a train to get to the big city, but the mayor's been kidnapped by cultists. So you have to go and deal with that, and then you go through the cultist compound, and then you get to the end, and there's a really fucking cool boss fight with some kind of Lovecraftian monstrosity with a giant eye, and it was a lot of fun to do that boss fight and learn how to do that stuff. As you kill like cultists and stuff on your way through the game. Like, you can pick up some rifle rounds, and you get some grenades as well that shoot out from your gun like it's a grenade launcher, and can also definitely blow you up. You can definitely damage yourself with those grenades, which is just fun. And that's the main sort of word I would use to describe Gunbrella. It's just a good time. It's a very satisfying action game to play. Like, once you sort of get used to sort of the rhythms of the combat and the exploration, the characters are strange and kind of off, but also really cool and like fun to talk to. And the action is just a lot of fun. Like, it's a lot of fun to blast your way around this world of Gunbrella. Really fun game. Love the demo. Interested to play more. It's got a release date of 2023, being published by Devolver Digital. So look forward to seeing that whatever unhinged showcase Devolver Digital does next E3, I guess. So yeah, I've got time for one more demo. So if you will follow me this way through to the next part of the video, we can have a look at one more thing. Lastly, for Steam Next Fest, I played Floodland, which is a colony sim. I don't want to call it a city builder, because it's not really a city builder. It's set in a post-apocalyptic Earth, which was destroyed by climate change. Kind of like how this Earth is going to end up if we don't do something about it, but that's a rant for a different video. Here, what you have to do is you pick a faction which determines, like, your values. Like, I picked the firefighters because they valued, you know, like, diversity, freedom, fairness. Like, everybody has to have a home, you know, that kind of thing. And then sometimes you might have to make some tough choices, but you start off with a little camp and a little campfire and a bunch of people, and then you just have to build out your colony while also like surviving, so like, but also thriving. Like, you have to like build places. First of all, you scavenge. So you scavenge for things like food, water, supplies to actually build buildings. And you explore the world and find more resources. And then from that step, you step up to, like, there's renewable resources in the environment. So things like mushroom colonies, berry bushes. There's like rubbish piles, which like will constantly renew. So rubbish piles is what you sort of use to build the more basic buildings. So you can set up buildings, you can set up specific buildings next to these resources, and they'll constantly renew. So you put water stills in water, or you can like put fishing docks near like colonies of fish, stuff like that. And as you're doing that, you're making sure that everybody's got tents, and then you're exploring the world to find more resources that you can scavenge, and also buildings to like renovate for shelter or explore. Maybe you can find some more people to join your colony, while also trying to make sure that people can get fed and people could have water, and then you slowly build a sort of aspirational stuff. So you build like a study hall, so you can, and there's huge tech trees. There's four different tech trees, kind of. There's actually 5 really, because you've got one tech tree which is sort of like your foundational tech tree, and that's based around sort of developing the resources that you can find in the world. So things like rubbish, wood, stuff like that. And then obviously you've got your most traditional tech trees, which is separated into 4 different categories, and they're the things that allow you to build more advanced buildings, for example. And all of this sort of combines into something that's not necessarily relaxing per se, but it's not as hardcore as a lot of other sort of colony sim games or like city builders that I've played in the past. Like, one of the things that generally drives me away from games like this is the level of complexity, because it comes at you really quickly, and all of a sudden, you know, you're managing an entire civilization, whereas in Floodland, you're rebuilding a civilization more or less from scratch. And at least the way that Floodland has approached it, that just feels more approachable as I'm playing it. Like, at no point was I ever really like stumped or stuck or like facing doom and like down. Like, you can always sort of figure out what you're doing. Like, Floodland, the demo comes with tutorials built in, so it like explains things to you, but also like it's pretty intuitive, you know, in terms of how to do what you're doing. So like, you can set zones for your workers to explore, and they'll go and explore them. You can, and if you highlight a zone for exploration and there are things there that can be scavenged, it just highlights those things. So, you know, like if you're sending your workers out to a specific place, they're going to be able to find certain resources, and that helps you plan out what you can build, because again, you got to juggle all this stuff like food, shelter, water. And then I imagine as the game goes on, you know, you like one of the later objectives of the demo is to repair a radio tower, so you can make contact with some scouts that you know like had radios, but also so you can make contact with other people like further out in the wasteland, so that you can maybe like contact them and bring them to you. So yeah, you'll have more mouths to feed and whatnot, but also you'll have more people to be able to do more things. And it was just a really, really good, really nice sort of curve to the complexity. Like, it was really gentle. You will obviously have to make tough decisions at certain points, I'm sure, especially as you get later and later into the game, because obviously there's going to be other cultures out there. And from what I saw from the like culture select screen at the beginning, the different cultures are definitely not going to get along. They're really not going to get along. And obviously there'll be limited resources, so that, you know, you're going to have to maybe protect them or fight over them so that your culture can survive. But it was easy to pick up and play. The only thing I will say about the demo is it definitely needs optimizing. Like, on PC, the Floodland demo absolutely hammered my memory. Like, it used a lot of memory. So that demo definitely like needs to be optimized so that it's not just ravaging my PC resources. But that was Floodland, a very approachable post-apocalyptic survival colony builder that I'm really interested to play more of. It comes out on November 15th, which I know is a pretty busy sort of week in a pretty busy month for new release video games. But if I do get a chance, I am actually really interested in checking this game out. So, you know, the demo's done its job. That's going to do it, though. And that's going to do it for all of the demos that I've played. So take it away, future Amy, for an outro of some kind. Well, that's it for this Steam Next Fest video. Amy plays 12 Steam Next Fest demos, and I played 12 really cool games. Like, some demos really surprised me. Some demos I just downloaded because I liked the look of the artwork or the name of the game. And I found some cool games to keep an eye out for. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't know when the next big demo thing is. I don't know if there's going to be one for like around about the Game Awards time, so maybe in December. I also have a folder full of demos that are just available on Steam. Like, I keep demos installed on my PC. I might just do a demos video that's not tied to any specific event, and maybe just talk about some cool indie games that I'm excited for. Like, I do like to scroll through the demo tab on Steam. I've actually got a couple of demos installed on my Switch, but I don't know if I'll ever actually get around and playing them. There's a lot of games. There's just so many games that I want to play. But that's going to do it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Like I said at the beginning, if anything looks cool or any of these games sound really cool to you, go and wishlist the games. Go and show the devs some love on social media. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them on YouTube. Just help them out in any way that you can, because making indie games is really tough, and every little helps. And with all that being said, I'll see you around. Like, if you're someone who only pops in to make sure you stay hydrated. Toodles.